It is 50 days till the man burns, and today we're going to talk about nightwear, what to wear at night. Because one of you lovelies, Stacey Katz, hi, was asking about what to wear at nighttime in the comment section. And nighttime is really the time when you can kind of go crazy with your outfits, because you know in the day it's so hot that you're kind of fighting against that. You're like kind of restricted to wearing clothes that are offering you like maximum comfort in such a hot environment. So nighttime's really when you can kind of let loose and wear some really cool stuff. So even though I just said that, you know, you can kind of get away with some slightly less comfortable clothing in the evenings, you still will want to go for stuff that is quite comfortable. You know, Burning Man is like a playground. There's so much stuff to do. There's so many adventures to be had. You really don't want to be wearing anything that's kind of restricting you or preventing you from doing anything that you see that you decide you want to do. You also want to make sure that trips to the Portaloos are not going to be a complete nightmare. You know, the floors are lava, the walls are lava, everything's lava in that little poop cabin. You do not want to be trying to kind of struggle out of a cat suit and, you know, potentially bits of it are hanging on the floor, and it's just not a nice scenario to be in. And the same thing goes for shoes. I mean, you might want to wear a leather catsuit and some thigh-high stiletto boots and, you know, embrace that inner Catwoman. But it's going to be so uncomfortable and inconvenient to be wearing that kind of stuff. If you really, really want to kind of do that, then I would suggest having like one night where you do that. Just have one night where you say, you know what, I'm going to go all out. I am going to dress in this crazy uncomfortable outfit and go for it. And you can look out for some kind of event or parade or something where you think like, you know, that thing, that's when I'm going to wear that one special outfit that I'm bringing with me, and I'm just going to wear it for that, and then I'm going to go and get changed into something more comfortable. I don't know if that's just me. I'm just very, very into being comfortable. Like, I still want to look fabulous and wear amazing things, but if those things are going to be a pain and inconvenient, then I'm just, you know, I'm not interested. I'm going to find something else. If you do plan to brave a crazy pair of shoes like stilettos or something that you haven't worn very often, then, you know, try and break those shoes in before you come. You do not want to end up with like blisters and painful feet. It's just going to mess up like the rest of the week for you. If worst comes to worst, you can't break those shoes in beforehand or they're still just killing your feet, then I would suggest saving them for the last night. That way you can deal with all your blisters and stuff, you know, when you get home. So my main criteria when I'm looking for nighttime clothes is the freedom of movement. I want to be able to lift my arms up in the air. I want to be able to jump around and dance and not have it restricting any of my movement. Be super conscious about chafing, especially, you know, your armpits, in between your thighs, like around your hips or anything when you sit down or bend over. You don't want to be stuck in a costume where it hurts you to be sitting down. Whether or not I can actually get in and out of those clothes in a Portaloo if I need to, especially, you know, if I'm in a rush because the queue was huge and I'm absolutely busting. And also heat control, because you're going to have lots of temperature changes at night. You know, if you're walking out on the playa, it's going to be cold when you're kind of in between things or just wandering around in the open. But then you might go to a theme camp that has a fire, or, you know, to a dance party or something. And then you're going to be in a hot environment where your outfit is suddenly going to be too hot and you need to be able to kind of control the heat, like undo things or take off layers. You don't want to be stuck in something where you're like, I can't go and dance, or I can't go and be in that theme camp because it's too hot in there. The only thing I can kind of do is be like out in the open where it's the right temperature for this outfit. Even if you do plan to dress up to the nines every single night while you're out there, bring along a comfy choice. I'm sure that even the most dedicated people that wear the most uncomfortable clothes have at least one night out there where they're like, you know what, I just kind of want to go and roam around the playa in something comfortable. So even if you think you don't need it, you know, be on the safe side, bring something that's nice and warm and cozy that you can wear in the evenings that is just super, super comfortable. If you've been looking at Burning Man at all, you have probably seen things like dark wad being mentioned. And that is people that are roaming around at night that have not lit themselves up. It is incredibly dark at night, especially when you're out on the playa and you're in like open spaces where nothing's really lit up, all the lights are kind of in the distance. And it's pretty much impossible to see people if they haven't lit themselves up in some way. So you absolutely need to light yourself up. Don't use, you know, like glow sticks and those like glow bracelets you can just kind of wrap around yourselves. They don't really give enough light. They tend to run out, you know, after an hour of you wearing them. They're too dim to really properly light you up. And they really just turn into moot. They have a tendency to fall off, or people shed them over the course of the night, and you just kind of find all these glow sticks everywhere. So they're really not a good option. Some people would just use torches, so you just hang one around your neck so it's lighting up the front of your body, and another one on your back so that people can see you from behind. It's not the best way to light yourself up, it's definitely not the coolest, but it's going to light you up enough so that, art cars and bikes and mutant vehicles are going to be able to see you and not crash into you, hopefully. But the absolute coolest way, I think, to light yourself up at night is with EL wire. So EL wire is basically like this wire that's coloured, that's in like a plastic tube. It's like phosphorus and science and stuff, and it has like a small electronic battery powered thing. So you can stitch the EL wire onto your clothes and make, pretty shapes and patterns and things. And then when you turn it on, your outfit lights up and, it just looks amazing. It is a little bit tricky to do. It's not massively complicated, but, you will need to kind of learn how to connect everything up and things like that. If you are going to go with EL wire, I do have some on order, and, I'm going to try and get a video out on how exactly to build an outfit with EL wire. So I'll link that like somewhere when it's up. But yeah, it's definitely worth looking into. If you're not going to go for EL wire, you could go for fairy lights or something. You can get some like battery powered ones. And people do some really cool stuff with fairy lights as well, like the tutus where they've got fairy lights in them so they kind of sparkle and twinkle and light up. Or like the jellyfish umbrella that like lights up. I really like those. Maybe I should make one. So if you are going to use EL wire or fairy lights, make sure you bring along spare stuff that you might need, like spare batteries or spare connectors or, whatever it is that you're going to need just in case something happens to them and, all your lights go out. And if you are going to stitch them onto clothes, then you might want to bring an alternative light source as well, because, you might have a night where you don't want to wear that outfit or something happens to that outfit. And you need an alternative that you can pop on with, whatever outfit that you're planning to wear. I'm a huge fan of layers because of that whole temperature control thing where, the temperature is going to change over the night. You're going to be in different places that are kind of different temperatures. And it's just really nice to be able to, just remove a layer or pop on a layer whenever you need to, because often you don't know where the night's going to take you. Like you might think like, okay, I'm going to go and dance all night tonight. So, I'm going to be getting hot, dancing, I don't need any warm clothes. And then something happens and you find yourself, wandering around looking at art and you're freezing cold or, heading off out somewhere where it's not so warm. Layers are also a great way to give you a bit more variety with whatever you're wearing. Maybe you want to head out in like a rainbow tutu and a corset, but you don't want your arms and shoulders and legs to get cold. So, you can layer it up. You can pop on some woolly tights or some leggings, pop on some like arm warmers, leg warmers, maybe bring along like a butterfly shawl or a cape or something so you can just you've got something to wrap yourself up in, but you can just like leave it open when it's too hot, or, take it off and stuff it in your pack. There's so many cool things that you can do with layers, and it also means you can kind of jazz up outfits that you feel like are a bit plain. So maybe you've only got a black tutu and you want something to kind of brighten it up a bit, and so you can pop on like some bright pink tights or something, and then your outfit's like instantly looks more fun. The only kind of drawback with layers is obviously, any layers that you take off, you then need to, keep in your pack or carry around with you. And you don't really want to be dragging around a pack that's like stuffed full of extra clothes in case you get too cold, or clothes you've taken off because you got too hot and now you're just going to drag them around with you all night. So it is best to try and dress for the night that you think you're going to have. If you think you're going to be dancing all night, dress for that, and then maybe chuck something in your pack just in case you end up getting cold. If you're planning on, wandering around on the playa or something where it's a bit colder, then, layer up so that if you do end up doing something else where it is a lot warmer, then you're able to just kind of get rid of some of the layers. And bear in mind, at night, you do a lot of hopping between theme camps and wandering around and stuff. So even if you are going to spend the whole night dancing, you might not do it just at one place. Or, you're going to have to walk back to your own camp at some point. And if you decide to just pop out in like a bikini and nothing else, it's probably going to be a pretty chilly walk home. Unless you stay out all night and walk home in the morning sun. And that's part of why fur coats and jackets are so popular out there. Because, they're super, super warm. You can just chuck them on while you're like heading to another theme camp or heading somewhere else. Or just, wandering around when it's colder. And, they're really easy to just slip on and off, and they're very warm. If you are going to go for a fur coat, please go for faux fur. Please don't get like real fur coats. It's up to you guys what you do, but faux fur is and if you kind of don't know anything about the fur industry, then, maybe like find out a little bit about it before you get a real fur coat and, make up your own mind about how you feel about that. Anyway, fur coats, you know, they look amazing, and that's another reason why they're such a popular choice. But really, any jacket is going to do. It doesn't have to be fur specifically. It just has to be something that you can put on that's actually going to keep you warm. Capes are another great choice. I absolutely adore capes. I've always wanted like a red one, like a Little Red Riding Hood style, with the big hood. Maybe I'll make one for this year. So capes have some pros and cons though. What is great about capes is, you know, the fact that you can like wrap yourself up in them when it's a bit cold, or you can kind of throw them behind your shoulders when it's a bit too warm. And the fact that you can kind of just open it up and have it hanging behind you means that, you know, you don't really have to take it off and carry it around or put it in your pack if you don't want to. You can just like open and close it. It's temperature control. But they can be a pain if a wind kicks up, especially if the wind comes out of nowhere and you're like walking into it and suddenly your cape's just like behind you and it's like pulling on your neck, and you know, it's a bit of a pain. If you are looking at capes and you don't want that to happen to you, look for ones that actually do up all the way down, so it's not gonna like just be blowing in the breeze behind you like Superman. And a lot of the time the ones that do up all the way down, like they have like arms in the cape, so you can stick your arms, so you can still use your hands even when your cape's done up. Also, if it has a hood, it's nice if it has like some kind of tie, especially if the hood is like a big floppy one that's only going to stay up when the air is perfectly still. You know, you might want that hood up, your ears might be getting a bit chilly and blasted from the wind, you might just want to like be able to do that up and keep it up. So talking about cold, you may want to bring, you know, hat, scarf, gloves, things like that. I mean, it really depends on kind of how affected by the cold you get. I mean, they don't take up much space. It's worth, you know, bringing them along, and if you don't need them, you don't need them. But at least you have them if you do. A lot of people like to sleep in hats and gloves if they're sleeping during the cold hours, because otherwise, you know, the tops of your ears get cold and it's horrible. But with things like that, you might be kind of thinking like, hats and scarves are boring, but they don't have to be. You know, you can get some really cool hats. You can get like funky earmuffs. You can get really cool scarves and shawls. Like I have a shawl that like, it's like the size of a blanket and it like wraps around. It looks like a poncho or a cape. It's really fancy. My mum got it for me. You know, there's loads of different gloves. Like think like Michael Jackson and stuff, who had like the studded gloves and all that stuff. You don't need to go for like just plain boring stuff if you kind of want it to be part of your look. You can get some really cool stuff if you just look around a bit, have a search online, try and find like maybe some sellers on Etsy or eBay or somewhere where they're doing really cool stuff that you like. Or if you're struggling to find anything cool, you know, get some regular ones and customize them and make them look how you want them to look. So I'm a huge fan of earmuffs as an alternative to hats. I love earmuffs and generally they come, you know, looking really cool. And with gloves, I prefer mittens, because then, you know, you have the option to like go fingerless when you need to use your fingers, and then you can just like pop the little pocket back on over your fingers when they get cold. So even though like everything you hear about Burning Man, you know, people will be like, it's so hot in the day and so cold at night, and you know, if you've never been before, it can feel like, you know, everyone's saying like, okay, you're going to be in Hawaii during the day and the Arctic during the night. You know, you may find that you're fine just with like a shawl or just dressing for kind of, you know, slightly cooler weather. And also you have like the patch in the evening where it like turns from day to night, where it's like not that hot and not that cold. It's like just kind of in the middle, and it like gradually changes temperature. So you will want to bring along some middle ground stuff for, you know, when the temperature is just like okay, or it's just a bit chilly. That's why I'm such a fan of layers, because, you know, it means that you kind of have the extremes covered and the middle covered. Accessories are probably one of my favorite things, because they're a really easy way to kind of jazz up an outfit. You know, you could be out in like a plain black vestie, just like a really, you know, neutral kind of outfit, and then just by adding accessories to it, suddenly that outfit looks amazing. I adore like huge headpieces, top hats, horns, you know, flower crowns, like all that kind of stuff where it's like really kind of big and statement. All the like neck and shoulder pieces are some really gorgeous ones out there. I've been browsing on like Pinterest and Etsy, and there's some seriously cool stuff. You could get like masks or face pieces, like chains, bandanas, the like kind of sash bandanas. There's a lot of places where you can get like cheap costume jewelry that's really cool. Then there's, again, you know, leg warmers, arm warmers, the like weird fishnet things. There's so many ways to make your outfits look amazing just by having really, really good accessories to go with it. And if you're on a budget, it's a great way to do it, because you can kind of just hunt out for some cheap statement pieces, you know, like a tail, maybe some like ears or horns or something. And then, you know, you're just sticking those on over whatever other clothes you're wearing, and you kind of still look really fabulous. So going along with that, if you are bringing like, you know, a lot of bland stuff, then you can bring along like some brightly colored pieces or patterned pieces to go with it. So, you know, maybe you're just going to bring along some black trousers or black shorts, and they're going to kind of be your staple nighttime bottoms. And then, you know, get some like brightly colored tops, really cool patterns, things like that. And it's instantly going to jazz up that outfit. And, you know, your black bottoms are going to go with every single piece. So if you're like worried about coordinating and stuff, you know, you can coordinate almost anything with black or white probably. But that could be another great way to get like a lot of versatility out of your night clothes. And you can do it in reverse as well, and say, okay, I'm going to wear like really neutral tops, but team them with like really, really funky bottoms, like really cool leggings, which you can pick up really cheap online, or like rainbow stripy knee-high socks and a tutu. You know, bear that in mind if you're kind of struggling to put together outfits, you don't have that much stuff, maybe you're on a bit of a budget or you're on a bit of a time crunch, then, you know, try and go for things that are very versatile, and then maybe have like statement pieces that you can team with more neutral stuff. One thing I really like to bring with me is a onesie. I have a tiger one. I would have worn it for this video, but there's like some kind of crazy heat wave going on, and if I put on my tiger onesie, I'm just going to be like a puddle on the floor. So I know that onesies and animal onesies, they're probably a bit like old-fashioned and stuff now, because I think they were super popular in like 2012 or something, but seriously, they are so comfortable. You have so much like freedom of movement, there's no chafing, they're nice and baggy, but they're warm at the same time. And, you know, it's still a cool, funky looking outfit. And one of my favorite things about them is that you can just wear like a simple vest top underneath, or, you know, maybe nothing underneath. And if it gets too hot, you can just like take the top half off, tie the sleeves around your waist like a belt, and then you just have like your onesie trousers, almost like you would with like dungarees. And if it gets too cold, you can just like undo it and put it back on. So you have like that temperature control. I feel like I'm obsessed with like the temperature control of clothes. Face paints are another great way to jazz things up at night, especially if you have like UV ones, neon ones that are really gonna like glow and stuff. And even if you're not particularly artistic, you can get like face paint stencils where you just have to like run a sponge over them with the paint on and you're done. Or even if you don't get those, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do without kind of needing a whole ton of like practice and artistic talent to make it look cool. Nighttime is kind of when people that are more into the makeup scene and really like to, you know, do their makeup and look amazing will break out that kind of stuff. So if you are going to be doing stuff like that, like face painting and makeup, I would suggest like really carefully choosing the stuff you're going to bring. You don't want to bring too much stuff. Probably don't want to bring, you know, your really expensive nice stuff because it's going to get full of dust. It could end up just kind of being a bit ruined after Burning Man. Don't bring anything with glitter in it, you know, and avoid things like if there's, you know, like stick-on stuff. I don't think these are banned this year, but, you know, it's so easy for them to become moop that they're kind of best avoided unless you stick them on really well. Also, false eyelashes can be a bit of a bummer as well. They tend to fall off, or people tend to get frustrated and like rip them off, and then they just turn into moop because they lose them. You can get these like magnetic palettes and stuff now. So if you want to kind of bring a custom palette of eyeshadows or face paints or something to bring to Burning Man, then you can pick those up really cheap. I think you can get them for like a $5, or you could just get like a box and, you know, blue tack them down or stick the eyeshadows you want to bring down in some way. So instead of bringing multiple palettes or lots of singles, you're just bringing like one palette with you. So I hope this is helpful, guys. I'm going to try and do some videos on like making, you know, like headpieces and top hats and some, you know, just like cool accessories that you can make to jazz up your outfits a bit. And yeah, if any of the rest of you have any like tips and suggestions for the kind of stuff that really works well at night, then let us know in the comment section below. And if you see me at Burning Man this year, feel free to come and say hi to me. Bye, guys.